to Business Power Hour. We have a great panel for you guys today. We're going to have a great discussion all about scaling. And I'm excited to talk to you guys because this is something that has been on my mind lately. All last year, the last couple years, kind of in my mind, has been like, go to a million. Like I want to see if I could scale the business to a million, not in like a short amount of time or anything, but just like, I don't know, in life, right? And it was kind of like my swing for the fence, big dream goal has always been that, like scale the business to a million. But I've seen some coaches the last year or so as they're scaling, I've been in their programs and seen quality go down and see issues come up and see some of the stuff that happens when you get bigger. And it's kind of made me like reassess and be like, it ain't so bad hanging out here at 240. Like, do we even want to scale? What would it look like to scale? What would it look like to scale in a way that's like a win for me and my team and a win for the community? And I've been spending a lot of time thinking about that. So I'm really excited that you guys are here to have this conversation. Selfishly, I'm like, I'm going to pick all y'all's brains and like get the lowdown from everybody. So I'm very, very excited. Thank you guys for coming and for being here and sharing your expertise with us. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves. So if you could just all go around and tell everybody a little bit about you and what you do. And then if you have a free gift people could grab, if you could just let them know what that is and do a little pitch for that for all of us. And then we'll get started.
Sounds great.
Yeah. I'll let somebody go first. I'm going to put the link in the Facebook group while you guys are talking. So I'll let first victim. I'm just kidding. Brianna, you want to go?
Yeah, I can go first.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Brianna Owen. I'm the CEO of Owen Your Mark, which is a play on my name. And I am.
Wait, so it's your name is what?
Oh, my last name is Owen.
Owen. Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
it's like Owen your mark.
Yeah.
I see.
Owen Your Mark. So
like
I am an
I love a good play on words.
Right? Yes. Me
Yeah.
too. Thank you.
Yeah, let's get a pun in there if you can, you know? Why not?
Somebody recently was like, you said that so fast, I didn't make the connection. And so now I pointed out, like, my last name is punny in my business name. So
I did a workshop once and we called it the 100-air retreat. And I was like 100-air, like millionaire, which I thought in my mind made a lot of sense, but people like did not get it. They were like, 100-air, what is this? So just be clever, but not too clever.
Right. Yeah, you still got to be clear.
Yeah.
But I'm an email marketing strategist and copywriter. I work with one-on-one with small, like service-based business owners to understand their business goals and their process and their customer journey. And I do all of that to create email automations that help clients go from like point A to I'm in, take my money. So that's what I do. And that's why I'm really excited to be part of this conversation. I have on my website, which is just owenyourmark.com. I do have a freebie that's 10 pro tips to grow your email list. And I've got a bunch of like juicy, drool-worthy best practices to help people grow or build their email lists that are like actually useful.
Yeah, you're like, they're actually good tips that work.
Yes.
I know. I've been seeing a lot of really bad business advice on Instagram lately. I'm like, oh, geez. But if you guys are struggling with growing your email list, I would definitely go grab that. And I'm sure it'll get your wheels turning and give you a good place to start growing your list.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to grab
that. Yeah. Nicole, you want to go?
Sure. My name is Nicole Mace of the Systemized CEO. So there's.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, putting that word right in there.
I love a good system on my team. Well, I have ADHD, so we've got to keep like the insane, like Faith CEO chaos under control with Asana.
Yeah, I mean, I have loved your system coming through. I'm like, they are on it. This is exciting to see. But yeah, I
have an A team. When you're a crazy CEO, you have to have an A team.
The other components, like you need these two things to grow, right? Systems and A players.
Yeah.
So I love helping experts, usually in the health and wellness area, turn their expertise, turn their intellectual property into content. So in a membership or course area. And then I love to build out all the funnels to help people get quick wins into that content area. So if they're finding themselves like repeating themselves over and over again to clients, that's like the ticket of like, okay, it's time to productize the results that you're getting for your clients. And then also add in that community, because people come for the content, but they stay for the connections. So I just help them turn their intellectual property into a membership is usually what I'm doing with the sales people in there. So we need to connect, because I'm often looking for really good copywriters to support with those projects. So that's what I love to do. Also, my thing is I only build in Kajabi. So there's some people are like, let's try this, let's try that. I used to build like in whatever platform people wanted me to, no more. So I'm if you're a Kajabi person, or if you're thinking about Kajabi, I'm your gal. But yeah, I do have a free gift for people who are thinking about Kajabi and they want to know what it actually can do for you, for your bottom line, essentially. Because Kajabi is not a cheap platform, but there's so many things wrapped into it that I think people don't actually know. And then they're into like subscribing to all these different platforms and all these tools. They're drowning in tech subscriptions, and we want to simplify so we can systemize. So my freebie, my gift is called 6 Simple Steps to More Money with Kajabi in a Weekend, because I want people to understand
juicy.
Yeah. So it can be very simple, very straightforward. This is what you need to build. This is how you connect it. And you can do it in 2 days. So the URL is just my website, the Systemized CEO /scale. So it's your system to scale, like we were talking about. But yeah.
Nice. And we'll put all the links for you guys in the show notes for you guys too, so you can get all their goodies. And then last but not least.
Yeah, hello there. My name is Christiana, and I own the company that's called Hello Happiness. I also am the podcast host of Happy Healthy Hustle.
Nice.
And I'm really excited to be here today and talking a little about scaling intimately. Because as you might be able to see, I'm actually not at home. I'm in my office of my full-time job on campus. So I am a full-time professor. I'm at the university right now. And that means
that's awesome.
I know. For me, the whole like scaling intimately totally makes sense, because I love bridging what I know from I teach innovation entrepreneurship into my mastermind, as well as my courses that I created. So I essentially use my academic knowledge where I earned my PhD, things that I teach in the classroom and issues that I see in the classroom to then coach mostly female entrepreneurs in really leveling up their business. My mastermind collective just launched yesterday. So I'm actually, my freebie will tie in with that. I'm giving away, you might hear that from my accent, my what's called Petite Practices Planner.
So I love a planner. So
I know. And this is actually, it's not just any planner. It's something that I call inspired by my European flair. So you have areas to plan, you have areas to create mantras, and you even have some playlists in there that will maybe jive up your day a little bit more. So you can click on the links and then we'll play some music.
Ooh, I like that. So
yeah, I'm really all about the all-encompassing experience, right? And then of course there is a podcast in there too that you can listen to on how to create, for instance, a 1-minute mantra. So overall, I'm really looking at making this fun, and it's small, which is the word petite stands for small. Excuse me. And it's also practicing. So I'm really going for practice makes progress. We're aiming not perfection, we're just aiming for progress. And we're also aiming at making our life a little bit easier. So I'm born in Germany. I'm all about efficiency, and basically just aiming on making it efficient, but making it fun.
Yeah. I want to ask you guys, I feel like scaling, oh no, we lost her. Hopefully she'll come back. I want to ask you guys about scaling, because I feel like it's a word that's like thrown around a lot. It's kind of like a buzzword, I feel like, in the online space in a lot of ways. How do people know if they're ready to scale? And like, what are some things you should make sure you have in place? What's kind of like the checklist of like, okay, we're in a place where we could actually really try to go for exponential growth?
I think that's so right. I see scale all the time, and people, sometimes I'm working with entrepreneurs that they have a one-on-one practice going, but they are, it's slow, it's steady. Oh, there she is. it's slow and steady, but they're, I'm ready to scale, but they're not at capacity yet. Like, get to capacity, make sure your product is really good or your program is really good. And then when you're at capacity and the demand is there, then you're ready to scale. But don't worry about the scaling factors until you have a dynamite product or program.
I think people really like brush past this personally. Like, I feel like we're just in a place where we might like really seriously start trying to scale. And we've been running the same program for almost 4 years straight, like of just me trying to like make sure it works and make sure people get results and make sure the onboard, like we're redoing the onboarding again for, the fourth time we've done it. And I think, the customer experience, a lot of times when we're talking about online business, people are like, oh, scaling and like 30K months. And like, but you have to have a system you can put people in and a container that can like hold that many people and maintain the quality, which I think is a lot more difficult than a lot of people realize. Like, there's a lot of little pieces that have to be in place. So I like how you said that, like, make sure your product is really, really good. And then like, are you even at capacity? Like, you don't need to be worrying about getting hundreds of people if we can't even get 10. Like, that's also, I say in the mastermind all the time, like, keep your head over your feet. Like, I'm like, you all are like trying to solve problems that are like 3-year out problems. Like, why don't we solve the problems we have now? Right. So get a capacity and then get the quality of your program up. I think that is great advice.
Yeah. I think also when people feel like they have so much to do in their business, they're working with their clients, they're working with their customers, that they're like, I want to do more and I just can't. I'm noticing when I talk to people that they don't realize how much manual work they're doing that could get turned into a system, or like in my case, I see email automations everywhere. And so also, like, if people think that they're ready to scale, it's like, if you are the bottleneck, if the manual work is the bottleneck, then you have an opportunity in front of you that's for scaling. And it just takes a little bit of effort, and you free up a whole bunch of margin in your daily, like day-to-day to-do list.
Yeah, gosh, I'm having these flashbacks of like baby entrepreneur Faith. I used to run 4 businesses at the same time, like a complete maniac, and had like way more going on than we do now, which we do a lot now. But like, when I look back at that time, it was totally crazy. And I remember it was so painful for me to hire my first VA and like let someone do something else in the business. And it was like unreasonably painful for me to like, I just felt like I'm the only one that can do it though. Like it has to be me, like, which I just don't think that way at all. Now I'm just like so happy to like let my team do things. I'm just like, somebody else needs to be doing this. Why am I doing this? Like, I'm not doing this. But at that time, it just felt like it's so funny with the entrepreneurs, because it's like our precious, precious little business baby, right? And it's like nobody else could possibly, I remember being like, nobody else could like ever write the email or like do the landing. And I'm like, the team does so much for me and they do it so much better than me that it's like laughable to me now. But at the time, it really felt true. Like, it was really like no one else. If I hire or I let people come on or I get a VA, I have to sacrifice the quality of the brand and not just for everybody listening. I just like don't think that's true at all. And I think it's a limiting belief that keeps a lot of people, what you're saying, like doing the little admin task, because if you're in there doing every single little admin task for these businesses, it's like you're not going to have the capacity in a lot of businesses to scale. You're going to need to free up, more of your time, I think, in a lot of businesses to be able to really, really scale in a big way. Right. And then
I want to add something to that.
I was just asking them, I know you got like booted off. I was just asking them, like, I feel like scaling gets turned around a lot. Like, how would you know if you're like ready to actually scale? Or like, what do you think are some things people should look out for to make sure they have in place before they go scale? Or what would be a sign that somebody's ready to actually scale?
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of talk about this too from the perspective of your own boundaries, right? So the sometimes we just think more about the scale as like this exponential curve that keeps on increasing, and we just think, oh yeah, there was sales. But at the same time, it's also your own health and your own wellness. So don't just think of scaling for the sake of scaling, but also think about your mental health, physical health, your family, right? Because all this is not something you can put a monetary value on it. So yes, you might make more money, but what's really the cost that goes along with that? Are you going to sacrifice your sleep time with your family for doing this? So I would say ready to scale and really hit that launch button is when you feel that you're in a good spot with regard to, and I don't personally love the word work-life balance because I don't think there is really a balance, but maybe when there's more of a harmony, when you feel you are in a good place of going that next step because you have things somewhat under control with regard to your family and your work. So like for me, I have my children. I always want to feel that they understand that no matter what, they will always come first, right? So if I wouldn't make a decision for my business for the sake of whatever they have going on in their life. And I think you need to, especially as female entrepreneur, you need to be in a position to where you can scale and you still have that good conscience where you are a role model and you don't want to sacrifice whatever is going on for the sake of your family.
This is a really important conversation. I think that like I didn't see people having, at least when I was growing my business. And I think you really like hit it on the head. There's like kind of this glamorization of like grow, 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 big money, big months. Like we've all seen the like, $30,000 months, $100,000 launches, all these things. And for me, what has been true consistently in the business is I always tell the mastermind, I'm like, money is an amplifier. And so for a long time, I just thought, oh, if I can just make more money, then I'll feel more calm. Or if I can just make more money, then we can make the product better and I can just fix all this stuff. If we could just make more money, like I just felt like if I could make more money and make the business grow, that all my other problems would like go away, right? That I would feel calmer, that I would feel more peace, that the business struggles would be less. And what I found is like I'm not one to like knock money, right? Because I grew up like in poverty. So I'm like super grateful and like, I'm never going to be like, having money is so hard. Like, I don't think that. So nobody confuse what I'm saying here, right? But I do think like money is an amplifier and like it doesn't necessarily make things easier. Like I do have bigger problems now. I have a dozen contractors we pay out every month that count on me and my business every single month. I have like me to take care of, my health, my mental health, which is like my mental health is like a full-time job to manage as it's on its own, right? And then on top of that, it's like if I make changes in the business, they can cost us $20,000 pretty easily. So like there's pretty real financial consequences for just trying things and testing things. And like, the way I ran my business the first few years was like just kind of Faith doing whatever she wants. And now it's like, well, we can do that and it could be fun, but do you want to like risk $20,000 over it? Like, that's kind of a different conversation. Like stuff starts to become more loaded. And so I would say too, if you're already feeling stretched thin and already feeling like I'm at capacity and I'm doing all the time and I'm overwhelmed, like adding more money to that is probably not going to be the solution that you want, right? Because the money is an amplifier. So if you're feeling peaceful and calm and like you're getting great results for your clients and we add more money, that is amplified. But if you're feeling scarce and stressed and spread thin, more money, it's I know it sounds like counterintuitive and people are going to think I'm nuts, but more money amplifies that. You just feel more scared you're going to lose the money. You just have more stress, more bills, more things to worry about. And it just like amplifies whatever's already going on. So I would say, I love what you said about like work-life, balance, because I think if you're already feeling off balance, trying to push on it and scale it more is just going to amplify all the issues you already have. Any issues you already have when you go to scale, they just become like gaping wounds pretty quickly, right? Because now we have a ton of people and money and all these amplifiers on them. What do you guys think are like, I know people are listening and they're like, well, this sounds like all good and hypothetical, but people are like, but how to scale though? But how do you scale? Right? Like, so what do you guys think are like kind of the first steps? If somebody's like, okay, I am calm and peaceful, I have a great program, I'm at capacity, I got all these things they're saying, I'm ready to put some gasoline on this fire I built here. What is like kind of the first step you think people can take to actually start going that way to scale what they've already built?
I'm going to jump in really quick because I think before we put anything into place, you have to know where you're going. Like vision and having a clear direction of where you want to head is super important, because I think otherwise without it, we can get lost. We can go way off tracks. We can go way in the weeds. We can end it up in some place that has us going like, how in the world did I ever get here? So before you even go like, hey, how do I scale? You've got to figure out what it is you're wanting to scale towards.
And
what do your boundaries look like? And what, right? Like, what do you want your whole life to look like? Because scaling is just, it's a vehicle. It's a tool to help you get to this bigger vision. But if you don't know what that is, you're it's like flying and having no real direction, like
this is
location in place.
Yes, I totally am with you. And I think too, like the boundary thing is so important, right? So something I've been saying a lot that I've been feeling a lot is I'm like, the business is always just going to be a little time and money gremlin. So I'm like, we have a business, you have a little gremlin on each shoulder. One wants time, one is always wanting more time, and one is always wanting more money. So I'm like, you have to have really strong boundaries as far as like, this is how many hours I work and this is how much I spend. I also see a lot of people really overspend, and I've done it too. Like when I thought like, oh, I'm going to scale, let me join all these high-end masterminds and do all this stuff. Well, I spent $50,000, like probably more than what I should have that year, because I was just like feeding the little money gremlin, right, on my shoulder. And so the boundary thing I think is really huge. The more you grow, I think the louder those gremlins want. There's more people that want your time. There's more opportunity. You have more team members. You have more clients. Like everybody wants more of your time. And then the amount of money that can go out in these kind of businesses is insane. Like I never would have thought like it would just be so easy for me to spend $20,000 extra this month. And it would just, I mean, it could just happen so easily if I'm not paying attention to what's going out and where we're investing money and are we getting ROI. And so I totally think like you have to have the vision so that way those boundaries can be in place, right? Otherwise, little time money gremlins are gonna eat all your time and eat all your money. What about you, Nicole? You look like you were going to jump in.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you said that first, because yes. And I was going to say that. I was going to jump in with like the how-tos, but 100% yes. And I've actually really struggled with that. It's like, what do I want my life to see? Because I'm very like head down, do the work. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going to do the work. Which does not work out well. So 100%, what is your life? What do you want that to look like, and work your way backwards? I'm going to say that I have done quite a bit of help supporting CEOs hire in the intro, not finding the right person, but making sure they're understanding what that person needs to be able to do and what's that number for the person, what's that KPI that person's going to be successful, and what do they need to be successful. So I'm in systems. I love building digital learning, but also like, what do you need to like run this thing? And so having that, like that afraid of like, if I hire a VA, I've had so many people that say I've hired a VA and it didn't work out. It's not you. I mean, it's not them. It was you that didn't have the system, didn't have their number that they're shooting for. They didn't know how to be successful in your world. And so one of the easiest things to do to like release some of that control is to say, okay, I'm going to hand this over to someone, but it is going to be my system. So I'm going to map out what that success looks like and what do I expect them to do to get to that successful component or that successful place. So it's your system you're handing off to someone else.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get that wrong. Like they think they're going to bring a VA on and they're going to like know how to run your business or something. Yeah, that's how we do everything. I just was teaching about this the other day in the mastermind, but I was telling them we do everything in-house. So that means like I'm not going to like a social media agency or an ad agency or a Pinterest agency, because they're going to be more expensive because they're going to put us into their system, right? So what I'm going to do, if I want to add, let's say I want to add like Pinterest to my business, I'm going to go do Pinterest, come up with a strategy that works, learn Pinterest, get a system down where I'm like, okay, this week, like this many pins go out, this many times, this many things, all that's going to go into an SOP. In Asana. And then once you have that, then you're ready to hire. But until you have that, you are not ready to do not hire somebody. Like it will make you way more stressed out if you try to just bring someone on into chaos. Yeah. And you're setting them up for failure. I'm like the most guilty of this too, you guys. I used to have a VA that would sign on and just cry every day because it was like so much chaos and so much stuff going on.
I have been the director of ops, like fractional director of ops for people, and also felt the crying inside.
Yeah, she would just sign on and she would just be like, I'm sorry, I just have to cry for a little bit. And I was like, this is not good. Like, I don't know. I've never had a team, but I know this is not, this is my fault, right? This is like, I'm creating this chaotic environment for this poor person. And she was the best. She's like still a good friend of mine and stuff. But I was just like, oh my gosh, that poor little VA. Like, I mean, we had like 4 businesses in complete chaos, like I said, with no systems. So I wanted to cry too. I don't blame her. Oh, sorry, my computer just glitched out. What do you guys think are like things to look out for, like big pitfalls you guys see that when people go to scale? And part of this topic too is about like not losing the intimacy part, right? So how do we avoid scaling and making it feel like friggin' Walmart or something? Like we don't want to be like the Walmart of coaching, right? Where it's just like people coming in or like buying our products. And like, you know, I think a lot of us have great communities, especially once you start getting up around 6 figures or 200,000, and you're like, I really want to scale bigger. You know, you have this like great community and this great product. This is how I feel. I'm like, I have this great community and this great product. And, you know, I've been working really hard to like make sure the curriculum is there and the steps are there and refining it to put more people in it. But then part of me is like, I don't want to like mess it up and like break it. And I've seen people do that with scaling where it becomes very impersonal and it becomes just like another number. Everybody's just another number. So how do you balance that like community feel and the quality with like adding, you know, a mass amount of people in an offer? I'd love to hear what you guys think about that.
I think it's a brilliant question, especially if the product is also, of course, it has your name on it, right?
Yeah.
So if, for instance, you build an evergreen course and you don't really have any touch points with your clientele anymore, so you don't even know, are they going through this or not? And if they're not going through this because you don't have a touch point with them, you scaled it, it's evergreen, they might not see the results. And because they don't see the results, they're going to be like, well, I bought this thing, but it really didn't lead to anything. So you don't really want that. So the goal really with scaling is, do my clients walk away from this getting a similar experience to where when it was intimate, I felt that they're walking away with the very best thing I could give them. So for me, it's kind of like this delicate balance. I still want to have a touch point, but maybe it's not going to be every day. Maybe it's just going to be one time per week when I check in with them. And what I'm doing now with my mastermind is actually I kind of gamified it so that people intrinsically feel they want to do this. So I'm giving them awards and incentive to finish things. And it's not just for me to check in with them, but it's also for them to feel good that they are essentially gaming themselves and improving and progressing along.
Yeah.
And I think that is so important because otherwise I've had people that went through my evergreen programs before, and, you know, you can always see that they finished the online modules, etc. And I was like, well, so they really didn't go past week 2 out of a 3-week course, so they never got the end.
I'm sure none of us have ever done that, right?
Yeah, because I scaled it and then I totally let go of it, and that's a problem. So I would prefer keeping a touch point with them because I want that they transform, and I don't want to completely let go of any in-person contact, which would be if I make it fully evergreen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think with ours too, like as we've scaled, we put more and more people in it. There's about 200 people in my mastermind right now, right? And it used to have like 30 people in it. And in my brain, I would just be like, it's just not going to be as good if we put 100 or 200 people in it. But I did really spend a lot of time thinking about how do I make it a win for the community that it's bigger, right? And like what I ended up coming up with was like, well, I'm going to have more money. We have more resources, right? So now they have access to a copywriter, right? They have access to my financial advisor. They have access to like all these amazing people that they wouldn't if it was just 30 of us, right? Because I wouldn't have the resources. And then I love what you were saying about gamification too, because I never thought about it as gamification, but we do that too, where we do like monthly challenges where I'm like just trying to keep people pushing on, right? I'm like just trying to keep everybody after it a little bit every single month.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Do you have anything people should look out for, or tips for like how do we scale and like keep that personal
I
feeling?
heard a phrase a couple of weeks ago, and I think it applies here really well, which is really the idea of we're scaling intimacy, right? Like you're not just scaling your business, you're trying to scale the intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's, and I will speak to this from the perspective of incorporating email automations because that's my bread and butter. That's what I live and
Yeah.
breathe. But you can do a couple of different things, which is if you have a course, you can build in like surveys and feedback forms in the course.
Ooh,
You
that's a
can
good tip, you guys. Hear what she's saying. Yeah.
you
So
can
how would you build
create.
it in? I love what you said, like build it into the course.
It
How do
could
you
be
do
part
that?
of a module, right? Like, so if you have a module and you're like step 1, step 2, step 3, like the very last step of the module is a feedback form of, hey, what module are you in? What did you get out of it? What's tripping you up? Anything else I need to know? Like, you could just have the same form built into every module because then people can just input what module they're on or
Mhm.
where in the course they took this or whatever. But you've got to build in like those touch points. You could create an email automation that aligns with the course or the thing that you're walking them through. So it feels like an intimate experience, right? Like if you were doing this one-on-one with somebody, what would you want them to know at what point? And then how do you turn that into an automation? And even within those, you have those call to actions that are like, hey, checking in, let me know what you got out of this or where are you at, or what's one thing you learned in this process. And then as people hit reply and they reply back, that's where you get a chance to really get one-on-one with them. So it's doing the work for you, but you're not completely checked out. Because I think that's what people get wrong when they're trying to scale and they turn things into evergreen, is they're like, it's going to sit and forget and I'm never going to look at it for the next 10 years. And you can't just completely ignore it. I always advise my clients a minimum of 1 to 2 times a year, you need to go back in and do an audit of all of your stuff. The industry changes, people changes, culture changes, life changes. And so like one way to avoid that pitfall is putting it up on the shelf and letting it collect dust. Like you gotta keep on it.
I think even just like updating it and like sprucing it up and like maybe just adding like a new intro or a new thing, it keeps it feeling fresh. Like I feel like you can tell as a customer when you buy something and you can just tell it's a course somebody made 3 years ago and it's just sitting there and they don't do anything with it and they're completely not engaged. And it's like, yeah, you have the modules you paid for, right? But I always think I love that you guys we're all on the same page with this because I really feel like people don't understand how much work and effort go into making a great program. And it's like you have to compete in the marketplace. Like you cannot just like have kind of a mediocre offer and scale. Like you're going to get beaten out of the marketplace, like because somebody else is putting effort out and is going to have a better reputation than your product. And like you're going to be easy to beat. And like it is a competitive, it's getting more and more competitive all the time, right? But it's a competitive space, just like any business marketplace is. So I hate this idea of like, I've been seeing it on Instagram so much. It's been like literally making me crazy. I'm on like the wrong side of the Instagram algorithm where it's just like weird marketer bros being like, make a course, drop it in the funnel, like make money, go to the beach. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? like, what is going on?
Yeah, I love what you said about adding in those email automations because I'm like thinking about the platform I love to use and how easy it is to put in those touch points and planning for those touch points. And I also want to say that if you have a business and you are growing it, you don't want to lose the relationship like you're all talking about the intimacy, right? Because that is a relationship and results is going to create retention. So if they're getting results, like you're talking about gamification, they can see their progress, they're getting quick wins along the way, but you can't lose the relationship aspect. So if you're willing to invest in all the things you need for them to hit, different results along the way, you also want to invest in the relationship building. And that doesn't have to be from you. If you want to invest a VA, great, but maybe also invest in the client success manager and they're doing the one-on-one checkouts for our system and our program, right?
Yeah.
So like you said, they have access to the experts that you have because you have more resources. that could be the first expert that you're investing in is a client success manager or a community coordinator or something like that, because the relationship is just as important as the results that they're getting.
What do you guys think about? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about like business, like scaling myths or scaling pet peeves that you guys see in the space. I think there's probably a good amount of them, right? But what are kind of like the myths? To me, I just felt like, oh, everybody just starts an online business and they make like $30,000 a month, I guess. And that's just like what everybody's doing. Like when I started, that was like peak the like weird spammy income report sharing. Which I always laugh about because people will share their sales numbers, which I'm always like, as a business coach, I'm like, that tells me nothing about the health of your business, because you could do 50,000 in sales and have spent 150,000 on ads. So somebody who's like, oh, we did $50,000 launch, if they're not showing you profit, that doesn't tell you anything about the health or success of their business, right? So what do you guys see as like, I don't know, like stuff you like misconceptions people have about scaling, I guess, or like scaling myths that you see people kind of spreading around? Oh, I hope Brianna comes back.
I will come back. I think one of the big myths is kind of like this walk away idea, like you create it and then you basically sit on a little balcony in Paris and sip your champagne. And then actually I totally agree with you. Like these things on Instagram. While I slept, I made $20,000 and things like that. You know, that's just like baloney, because if that really happens, there's so much work that went into it. And there were still people behind the scenes making sure that this actually all happens. It's not really while you are sleeping at all. So I think that is one of the biggest myths, that it looks like you're really not doing anything. But in reality, if you're not the one doing it, somebody else does it for you. And then again, the question is, are you okay with that? Is that something that you feel really builds the integrity of your business? Because to me, most importantly, what I realized, and that might be another big myth, people talk, right? If you create a bad reputation, it's going to follow you much longer than what you think it will. And if you created a program that's crap, right, with like outdated content and nobody ever checked in with you, it's going to follow you around. It's like basically like a little shadow. And that, I think, is one of the myths, where you're like, well, yeah, I'm just going to move on with that. That bad PR is bad. The other thing is, if you scale intimately, those good customer testimonials will go so long. So, bad PR is no bueno, but at the same time, the good PR, I have so many customer testimonials and that I love to use, and they are authentic, right? So they are essentially creating that relationship that I want to build with my clients. And I think that that's something that, to me, was a myth, that people think, oh, you're just going to fill out a survey at the end. You're not going to get the same words, the same authenticity, the same relationship, because that relationship might have never been the same.
Yeah. And I think people are becoming more discerning online too, because a lot of us at this point, I feel like pre-COVID, there was a lot of people that had never taken online courses and never done any of this stuff. And now a lot of people have taken online courses and bought stuff from online creators or done programs and stuff, right? My friend Kate Doster calls them like normies. Like the people that aren't in this world now have like, engaged with courses and platforms and all this stuff, right? And I think we've all had the experience of like where you buy something and like the marketing is really flashy and the launch is really flashy, and then you get in the program and you're kind of like, these things like don't match. And so people are not stupid, right? It's like if you're selling them and you're telling them all these things and we're making all these big promises, and then they get in there and they can tell, oh, well, she hasn't updated this in like 3 years and it's been sitting here and there's not any support and like, that kind of stuff. I do think, like you're saying, the only thing you have really in this game is like your reputation. And I think you're going to need so many more leads if you have a poor reputation, because you're not going to have repeat buyers and you're not going to have people referring customers. So if you have a great program and you work really hard at it at delivering, you actually end up having to do less lead gen because people tell their friends about you. People just buy your next offer, your next thing, because they want to keep working with you. And you kind of have this like built-in demand. And so each customer literally goes further. It's worth a lot more money in a business like that. Whereas if you're kind of having the flashy marketing, but the program is kind of womp womp, you're going to have to go get 3 times as many leads because those people are not going to buy your next thing. They're not going to be telling their friends to go to your launch. They're not going to be doing any of that. Right. And so I think it's always like time well spent, like making sure to deliver to the people that support you and support your business.
Yeah, I'll say a pet peeve of mine of 2 programs I've been through now, where I was in the program while the shift was happening, or I'm speaking to people who are finishing up like right behind me. 2 really big programs where the owner of the program is the face and they're everywhere. They're selling it. They're on podcasts.
They're selling you.
Yeah.
They're really invested. So you're getting your card over.
And you are really like, you love them. You're like, I align with your values. I love the way you're teaching me, but you get in their program and they are nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
I am like, peace out. Like, how could you do that to me? Like, and I'm not saying like they need to like show up every day and such, but in a way that is conducive to them being the owner of the business. I understand they need to have a team to support them, but that is just an instant, like, I feel duped, right? Like, so they're like not even teaching, like they're not even teaching their own content. They have someone else doing that, or they're not doing any lives and showing up. And so that's like a huge pet peeve. Like they scaled way too fast. The intimacy is gone. I feel like no relationship. I don't know any of these coaches that are in the program, right? So that is something where I've seen it happen twice and it pretty much killed their program. Like they had to start over.
Yeah, this happened to me, and it's actually the only program I've ever asked. I didn't get one, but I did ask for a refund just because I felt like I wanted to stand up for myself. But it was sold as like, I felt like I was going to get access to this person that was going to help me scale and had all this business experience. And then when I got in the program, she like went on maternity leave. And so I paid $25,000 for 6 months of coaching with her students. So she wasn't, she didn't coach all of the calls. She coached some of them, but probably I would say maybe half of them she wasn't even on, which if you had been up front at the launch and say, I'm going on maternity leave, these are the people you're going to be working with, it's like, let buyers make a decision about that. But if you're the face and I'm paying to work with you and I think you're going to be my business coach and then you're going, I'm like, I just felt like that was out of integrity. And like asking for a refund was like I had such a moral dilemma about it because I'm a coach and I'm like, well, technically like I did learn some things, but then at the end of the day, I was like, I looked at the email marketing and I was like, this is not what you gave me. Like it says in the emails, you're going to get coached, every week by this coach. We're going to get to every single question. And they didn't do either of those things. They ended every call after an hour, even if people still had questions, and it wasn't by that coach. And I was just like, I just feel like what you were saying. I felt like I got right. And I was just like, I paid you $25,000 and I could have been a great high-end lifetime client while I scale my business. And now, like you're saying, to your point, like people talk, like you better believe behind the scenes when people are like, oh, I heard you were in this mastermind. Would you recommend it? I'm like, I did not have a good experience there. Right. And so I think being in integrity with making sure what your marketing says matches what you deliver. I don't think she was trying to scam me or something. Right. I think she was just going on maternity leave and didn't realize her marketing didn't match what was going to be delivered like that round. So making sure you're in integrity with like what you're presenting and what you're saying is what's happening in your program. And sometimes we have to take a hard look at that. And it's easy when we're writing sales pages to, we want to present the best and advocate for our program, but you've got to really go through and be like, is this all honest? Is this all in integrity? Am I managing people's expectations before I get in this program? Right. And making sure it all aligns up. Right. So I think if you're not going to be in the program, I think it's fine. You just got to tell people. And then let their buyers make the choice if they want to do it or not. And then what about you, Brianna? Did you already give your red flag? Any scaling red flags?
I was going to say, is this scaling myths or is this
scaling? I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Or scaling red flags.
Yeah. You want to say?
I think so, and I completely agree with everything that's already been said here too. I would add that the scaling can amplify a problem, right? Just like more money amplifies things. Like I think scaling can amplify problems, or like really solid foundation. So if you are trying to chase, like, man, if I just scale, I can focus on this pretty shiny, fun, sexy thing over here. It's going to reveal any glaring red holes that you have in the foundation of your business and what you
The
are doing.
system's got to be on point,
Especially,
right?
yeah. Well, and the systems, but even like, again, copywriter strategist here, I'm going to come at it from the point of view of messaging. If your messaging isn't on point and you're trying to grow and scale your team in an effort to help more people, somebody else is it. You have to be able to tell them your brand voice, your brand guidelines, you have, so that they can then go and do that for you. And so sometimes like if you're scaling to run away from a problem, the problem's just going to find you and come after you and be even bigger. And I think the other like big red flag is when people are scaling because they want to grow their business and they lose sight of the people they're helping. Like I am a big, like one of my superpowers is being able to see things from a customer's point of view. And so if people are like, hey, I want to create this messaging or this marketing and, because I want people to want this thing. I'm like, well, quit thinking about why you want people to want this thing and start thinking about what they're going through and what they're experiencing and their hopes and their dreams and their, like hesitation. So those are kind of the things that I see when people are talking about scaling, but they lose sight of why they got started in the first place.
Yeah. I love like thinking about, how could I get like twice as many results for twice as many people? How could we like make the program even more impactful where people are taking more action, getting more results in less time? And how can we do that like for more people? I think that's a really interesting place to take your brain with like scaling, right? And it's not easy. It's not easy to get results for one person, let alone 100 people. Like it takes a lot of thought and testing and trial and error and all kinds of different things. But anyway, I really appreciate you guys. I have so much to chew on. Thank you guys for being here and having this conversation. I really, really loved it. And you guys gave such great tips. I really appreciate you taking your time and sharing your expertise with everybody. Can you guys just go around for anybody that has just come on and just tell everybody, first of all, like, where can we stalk you? I have to internet stalk all of you on the internet. Don't stalk them in real life. You guys can internet stalking only. Where can we stalk you on social media? And then shout out your free gifts again. And we'll put all the links for you guys. If you guys are watching live, it'll be up on the blog tomorrow, or it'll be out on the show notes when it goes up on the podcast.
Yeah, so my name is Christiana Scheuter and my business is called Hello Happy Nest. On Instagram, it will be at hello.happy.nest. I'm also the podcast host of Happy Healthy Hustle. And I'm giving away a petite practice planner, which will help you have some fun in your life and maybe create some systems for some habits and kickstart your journey into like a strong summer. Maybe scale your business with healthy habits.
I love that. Well, I'm a planner junkie, so I got to go get your planner.
Awesome. Thank you.
And then what about you, Brianna?
Yes, I'm Brianna Owen. My favorite social platform is going to be Instagram. So I'm at Owen Your Mark on Instagram, and that's OWEN, because it's my last name there. And then my website is also owenyourmark.com, and my website has 10 pro tips for growing your email list, like juicy, drool-worthy best practices that are easy to use and will help you build or grow an email list. So come check me out and say hi.
Yeah, if you guys want to learn from like a really great copywriter, you got to go check out Brianna's stuff. And then Nicole, last but not least.
Yeah, so I'm Nicole Mace. I am on Instagram at the Systemized CEO, and Systemized with an ED. Like
I love that. Systemized CEO.
Systemized.
That's my goal. That's what I aspire to be.
Yeah, that's the goal, right?
Right now, I'm kind of a chaos monster.
Chaos to calm, yeah. So yeah, at the Systemized CEO, and I want to give away my freebie of the 6 simple steps to earn more money with Kajabi in a weekend. My whole mantra is simplify to systemize. So bringing it down to one platform, exactly what you need to do to make more money in your business with a system.
Yeah. So if you guys are feeling overwhelmed, like you have your stuff on a bunch of different platforms and you're looking to simplify, I definitely would look at Kajabi and check out Nicole's stuff. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm Faith Mariah. You can find all my stuff at faithmariah.com. We have all of the past replays from the Business Power Hour up on the blog and on my YouTube channel and on the podcast. And I've been hanging out on Instagram at the.faithmariah on Instagram. Thank you guys again for being here and sharing your expertise. I so appreciate all of you guys, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Everybody have a good day.
Thanks.